Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive.
Really?
It's Sunday, March 2nd. A lot happened this week.
Yeah, we've got market predictions, blockchain breakthroughs, even a little anniversary celebration.
Sounds like a lot to cover. So where do we start?
Well, Web3 Wire and Persistence Market Research had a lot to say about market trends. So let's start there.
Okay, yeah, I was looking to the reports. RF-over-Fiber.
Yeah.
They're saying it could reach $1.84 billion by 2032.
Which makes sense, with 5G and everything.
Right, faster internet speeds.
Exactly. And then there's the whole crisis management solutions market.
Yeah, I saw that expected to reach, what was it, 161 billion by 2033.
Yeah, it's a crazy number, but I guess with everything going on globally.
Makes sense. Everyone wants to be prepared.
Exactly. Now, on a slightly lighter note, the managed VPN market is also expected to grow.
I saw that too. A CAGR of 19.5% by 2033. What exactly does CAGR mean, though?
So a DGR is like a speedometer for market growth, tells you the average annual growth rate over a certain period.
So a 19.5% CAGR means a lot of people are using VPNs.
Exactly, with more people working remotely and all the privacy concerns.
Yeah, it's becoming pretty essential for a lot of people.
For sure. And it's not just internet stuff that's changing. The clinical communication market is also growing.
Yeah, they're predicting a CAGR of 15.3% by 2033 for that one.
Which means we can expect even more digital healthcare solutions in the future.
Telehealth, personalized healthcare.
All that. And don't forget about ready-to-eat meal delivery services.
Oh yeah, I admit I use those sometimes, especially when I'm busy.
Yeah, it's all about convenience these days. Everyone's looking for ways to save time.
But it's interesting how something like that, ordering food online.
Can have a ripple effect across so many different sectors. It all connects.
Speaking of connections, let's talk about blockchain. There was that article in Crypto Slate, How Blockchain Will Bridge the Divide in 2025.
Right, by Mark Boyrin from Polygon Labs.
He argues that blockchain can help restore trust, which we all know is kind of a big deal these days.
He's basically saying that blockchain's transparency and immutability are key to building trust.
It's a bold claim, but blockchain isn't exactly perfect. It has its issues, right?
Oh, absolutely. Scalability regulation, user adoption. There are definitely hurdles to overcome.
Okay, so it's not a silver bullet, but the potential is there.
Definitely. Now, for something a little more concrete, did you see the news about Wojciech Podobas?
Yeah, he increased his stake in Thinca Co to 6% after visiting Tokyo.
6%. That's not insignificant. It suggests he's pretty confident about the company's future.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Now, for something that caught my eye and made me a little skeptical.
What's that?
AI cloud mining, Web3 Wire, had a piece about easily earning cryptocurrencies from home using AI cloud mining.
Yes. It does sound a little too good to be true.
So what's the catch?
Well, cloud mining itself can be legitimate, but you're basically renting computing power from a third party.
And the profitability depends on a bunch of factors.
Like the price of the cryptocurrency and the mining pool's fees.
So it's not exactly a guaranteed moneymaker?
Definitely not. It's important to do your research and be cautious. The usual investment advice.
Right. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose,
Yeah.
especially with crypto.
Exactly. Now, for something completely different, let's talk anniversaries.
Anniversaries, right? What are we celebrating?
The city of Osmio. It's their 20th anniversary.
The city of Osmio, a digital city.
Yep. It was chartered at the ITU's Geneva headquarters 20 years ago.
That's crazy. So what does it even mean to have a city in the digital realm?
Well, it challenges our traditional ideas of community governance citizenship.
It's like something out of science fiction.
But it's becoming more and more real. Think about the metaverse, digital identities, virtual assets.
So are we all going to be living in virtual cities someday?
That's a question for the future. But one thing's for sure, the lines between the physical and digital are blurring.
It's definitely a lot to think about. We've got a lot more to unpack, though. Let's get back to those market trends.
Right. Let's dive back in. Oh, and before I forget, Persistence Market Research is also predicting huge growth for the mobile payments market.
Yeah, I saw that like $736.8 billion by 2033. That's insane.
It is. It's all about smartphones, contactless payments. The whole fintech revolution.
It really seems like we're moving towards a cashless society.
Maybe, but there's still challenges. Financial inclusion, for example. Not everyone has access to these digital payment systems.
Right. And then there are always privacy and security concerns.
Exactly. We have to be careful about that.
Okay, let's get back to RF over fiber for a sec. You mentioned earlier that 5G is driving its growth. Can you explain how that works?
Sure. So RF over fiber transmits data over long distances using fiber optic cables. And that's perfect for 5G because 5G needs a lot of bandwidth.
So basically allows for those super fast internet speeds that everyone wants.
Yep, exactly. And then there's the whole crisis management thing.
Yeah, Persistence Market Research is predicting that market to reach $161 billion by 2033. What's driving that growth?
Well, I think it's because the world is becoming more interconnected, and that means we're more vulnerable to disruptions.
So things like cyber attacks, natural disasters, pandemics.
Exactly. Businesses and governments are realizing that they need to be prepared for anything.
Okay. And what about healthcare?
Oh, yeah, the clinical communication market. That's expected to grow at a CAGR of 15.3% by 2033.
What's driving that?
The digital transformation of healthcare, basically. More and more healthcare providers are using secure communication platforms.
For things like virtual doctor visits, remote patient monitoring.
All of that. Plus, it just makes communication between healthcare providers much easier.
It definitely seems like technology is changing the healthcare landscape.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Okay, so remember the city of Osmio?
the digital city.
Yeah. So imagine a city where you don't need to be physically present.
It's a wild concept.
But it's not that far-fetched. Think about how much of our lives are already digital.
True. It's like the boundaries are blurring.
Exactly. It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
It's a lot to wrap your head around, for sure. What stands out to you as the most significant trend from everything we've discussed?
That's a tough one. I think it's the interconnectedness of all these trends. They're all influencing each other.
Yeah, it's like they're all part of this bigger picture.
Exactly. And it's a picture that's constantly evolving.
This has been a really fascinating deep dive.
It's always a pleasure to chat with you about these things.
Okay, so we've talked about market trends, blockchain, even digital cities. It seems like the world is changing faster than ever.
And it's only going to get faster.
So how do we keep up?
I think the most important thing is to stay adaptable. Be open to new ideas, new technologies.
That's good advice. We need to be proactive, not reactive.
Absolutely. The future is what we make it.
That's a good point. So let's make it a good one.
Definitely. Let's embrace the future with optimism and a sense of purpose.
So before we wrap up, let's touch on that mobile payments prediction one last time.
Right, the one from Persistence Market Research. They're saying it'll hit $736.8 billion by 2033.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. I mean, smartphones, contactless payments, it's definitely changing the way we handle money.
It is, the convenience is undeniable. And for a lot of people, it's just easier than dealing with cash.
But do you think we'll ever become a completely cashless society?
It's hard to say. There are still some hurdles to overcome.
Like what?
Well, financial inclusion, for one. Not everyone has access to digital payment systems.
Right, we need to make sure everyone can participate.
Exactly. And then there are the usual concerns about privacy and security.
True. Those are always important considerations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's clear that mobile payments are here to stay.
Yeah, it seems like the trend is only going to continue to grow.
Definitely. Now, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. It's been a great discussion.
I always learn so much from these conversations. It's a great way to stay informed about what's happening in the world.
I agree. It's always fascinating to see how these trends are shaping the future.
And speaking of the future, I think it's safe to say that it's going to be a pretty wild ride.
Oh, definitely. The pace of change is only accelerating.
So what can our listeners do to prepare for all this change?
Well, I think the most important thing is to stay curious and adaptable. Be open to new ideas and new ways of doing things.
That's great advice. We need to be proactive, not reactive.
Exactly. The future is not something that just happens to us. It's something we create.
That's a really powerful thought.
Yeah.
So let's all go out there and create a future that we're excited about.
Absolutely. Let's embrace the possibilities with optimism and a sense of purpose.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the latest news and trends. We'll be back next week with more insights and analysis. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.